This week, Forbes magazine ran a piece with this headline: Donald Trump drops off the Forbes 400 for the second time in 3 years. Now, you could be forgiven for having missed it. Kevin McCarthy, after all, was busy making history, not the good kind, as the first speaker ever removed from that position. But you know who I can guarantee didn't miss that story in Forbes? Donald John Trump. For decades, Trump has been obsessed not just with his wealth, but with the Forbes list specifically. As Forbes noted in its story, and I'm quoting here, he conned his way into sharing a spot on the inaugural list in 1982 with his father, Fred Trump, by convincing a reporter that he held a larger percentage of Fred's fortune than he actually did. Yeah. And like so much with Trump, trying to determine the truth among the lies about what he is really worth is very, very difficult. Even before he became an official candidate for president, Trump put his wealth front and center, a living, breathing example of just how successful he had been in his life. "I'm the most successful person ever to run for the presidency by far," he told the Des Moines Register in early June 2015, adding, "Nobody's ever been more successful than me. I'm the most successful person ever to run. Ross Perot isn't successful like me. Romney, I have a Gucci store that's worth more than Romney." End quote. Now, when Trump formally announced his candidacy later in that month of June 2015, he said that, quote, "I have a total net worth of $8.73 billion. I'm not doing that to brag. I'm doing that to show that's the kind of thinking our country needs." He went on to add, "I'm really rich. That's the kind of thinking you need for this country. It sounds crass. It's not crass, isn't it?" A month into his candidacy, Trump revised his net worth upwards. Real estate values in New York City, San Francisco, Miami, and many other places where he owns property have gone up considerably during this period of time, his campaign said in a statement, adding, "His debt is a very small percentage of value and at very low interest rates. As of this date, Mr. Trump's net worth is in excess of $10 billion. Billion. The truth is that pinning down Trump's actual net worth has been severely limited by his refusal to turn over any tax records. He was and is the first major party presidential candidate in more than 4 decades to refuse to release any of his returns. Thankfully, we have Forbes, which has kept very close track of Trump's yo-yoing wealth over the years. And according to Forbes, Trump's net worth was highest in 2015 when he was worth $4.5 billion. It steadily declined during his years in the White House, a fact Trump made a point to talk about regularly while he was in office. "I said to one of my friends, a very wealthy friend, I said, you know, I'll bet you it cost me $2 or $3 billion and it's worth every penny of it," Trump told Fox News in 2018. "I don't need the money and it's worth every penny because I'm doing so much for the country." And then there was this from 2020, again quoting Trump. "It cost me billions of dollars to be president of the United States." Now, the other window we have into Trump's actual wealth came in 2020 when the New York Times got its hands on a number of the businessman's past tax returns. And the big revelation in those returns was that Trump had paid 0 federal income taxes in 11 of the 18 years that the Times had records for, which, well, amazing. But buried in the Times reporting was this nugget, and I'm going to quote from it. "In the 90s, Mr. Trump nearly ruined himself by personally guaranteeing hundreds of millions of dollars in loans, and he has since said that he regretted doing so. But he has taken the same step again," his tax records show. "He appears to be responsible for loans totaling $421 million, most of which is coming due within 4 years." And there was also this revelation from the Times story. "He has reduced his tax bill with questionable measures, including a $72.9 million tax refund that is subject of an audit by the Internal Revenue Service." So there's all of that to consider when we're talking about Trump's wealth too. The latest from Forbes is that Trump's net worth is actually $2.6 billion, meaning he missed the Forbes 400 list by about $300 million. As Forbes' Dan Alexander writes of Trump, his net worth is down more than $600 million from a year ago. The biggest reason? Truth Social, his social media business. Trump once envisioned a significant percentage of the country logging onto the platform, but that never happened. Roughly 6.5 million have signed up so far, about 1% of the total on X, or Twitter. Trump's 90% stake in Truth Social's parent company has plummeted in value from an estimated $730 million to less than $100 million. So just how much does Trump care about making or not making the Forbes list? And the answer to that is a whole lot. Consider this anecdote from Forbes reporter Jonathan Greenberg from the mid 1980s. 1980s. In May 1984, an official from the Trump Organization called to tell me how rich Donald J. Trump was. I was reporting for the Forbes 400, the magazine's annual rankings of America's richest people, for the third year. In the previous edition, we valued Trump's holdings at $200 million, only 1/5 of what he claimed to own in our interviews. This time, his age urged me on the phone. I needed to understand just how loaded Trump really was. The official was John Barron, a name we now know as an alter ego of Trump himself. Look, none of it is to suggest Donald Trump isn't wealthy. By virtually any standard, he is. What it is to suggest is that he has shown for decades an obsession with how he measures up with other very wealthy people and a willingness to exaggerate how much money he actually has to move himself up those rankings. Trump's wealth isn't just a semantic argument either. From his announcement speech all the way through this 2024 campaign, he has used his net worth to make the case for his candidacy. He had succeeded in America, and if voters chose him, they could too, or so the argument went. I've always believed that we underestimated and continue to underestimate the extent to which voters for Trump are aspirational. People want to be rich enough to be able to say and do whatever they want in life, and they see Trump as someone who can do exactly that. So what? Trump's wealth is central to his electoral appeal, which makes the fact that he has relentlessly exaggerated over the decades all the more remarkable. Or, maybe considering all we know about Trump, not.